وبالله ومن الله وإلى الله وعلى الله وفي الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be on the noblest of the prophets Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companions, and all those who follow him in righteousness to the day of reckoning. I take this opportunity to welcome you to yet another edition of Ramadan in 10 minutes on RAANOD TV. By way of reminding ourselves about Ramadan and fasting, the Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, "Man sama Ramadana imanan wa iktisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min zambi." That whoever fasts in the month of Ramadan, imanan, with genuine faith, wa iktisaban, and then expecting nothing but the best reward from Allah, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min zambi, Allah forgives him all his previous sins. So that is the reward that there is for you and I if we genuinely fast out of faith for Allah. By way of a lesson that we can learn from the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, today we want to look at his generosity. We want to look at his generosity. The way he gave out to people he came across, people he interacted with, to put smile on the faces of people. He did all those things to ensure that people live a happy life. But even before I continue and ask you and I how best we can emulate this, I just want to cite two incidents that happened in the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to demonstrate his generosity. Then I'll ask you and I whether we are able to go to that length. There was a companion by name Zayd bin Sunnah radiallahu anhu in Medina. Before he embraced Islam, he was one of the rabbis in Medina. He had seen a lot of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that should make him believe him. But he wanted to see how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to calm down and suppress his anger, and also to see whether the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was charitable in any way. So Zayd bin Sunnah radiallahu anhu came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and told him, "I have 80 mithqal, that is about 350 grams of gold, that I want to give to you as a loan," and gave a time by which he will come back to collect his gold. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted it. He didn't need the gold for anything, but he also distributed it to others so that people will be satisfied and have a comfortable life. Zayd bin Thunna had indicated to the Prophet when he would come back to collect his thing, even when the time was not due, and the Prophet was sitting down with the companions in the masjid. Then he just walked in. When he walked in, then he held the Prophet by the collar of his dress and said, "Oh Muhammad, I know you and your family, when you collect things you don't want to pay, and you have gathered people, you are leading them, and yet you are showing this quality. I have given you my gold, and when it was time for you to refund it, you were nowhere to be found. I didn't see you until I found you here. Give me what is due me. Otherwise, I will not leave you alone." Then Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he got up angrily. Some accounts said he wanted to even kill Zayd bin Sunnah. Some said no, he only wanted to beat him. Then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he held back the hand of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu and said, "Umar, give him what is due him. That is the 80 miskal of gold, and add additional 20 miskal of gold, or an additional 20 of miskal to what is due him." Then he smiled, that is Zayd bin Sunnah smiled, and said, "I have seen all the qualities in Muhammad that should make me believe he is a prophet of Allah. But I wanted to test him to see how he is able to control his anger. And I also wanted to know whether he was generous, whether he was charitable, and whether whatever is entrusted to him, he will return it. I didn't come here to disgrace him. I bear witness that there is no God that deserves to worship except Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah." Then Zayd bin Sunnah radiallahu anhu embraced Islam. This was a former rabbi in Medina. We learn the generosity of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this story, and how it led Zayd bin Sunnah to embrace Islam. Now let me cite another example. Anas radiallahu anhu said, "There was a time I was walking with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was wearing Najrani cloak. Then a Bedouin Arab met us on the way without any provocation. Then he held the collar of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam so violently that his hands even left some marks, some scratches on the neck of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he said, 'Oh Muhammad, command your people to give me of what Allah has bestowed upon you.'" Now the question is, if you want to beg for something, you want to ask for something, don't you do that with humility? Or you go there and act violently like this gentleman did? And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he smiled and he asked his companions to give him something. Fellow believers, these two occasions, although not the best, shows us the extent to which the Prophet was tolerant and how generous he was on those circumstances. And there is the need for you and I to imbibe this in our lives. May Allah make it possible for us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.